Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for allowing us to gather as a community. Lord, we just ask that you be with us as we make the decisions for the corporation. Lord, we thank you for the breaks that we have between school years, and we just ask that your hand guide us in our decision making. Lord, we thank you for milestones that we celebrate and those that are here that for the work that is done for the school corporation. Lord, we ultimately know that it was because your son went to a cross and he rose from the dead that we can have the hope of eternity with you. Lord, it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Phil. Well, welcome to you all. Good to see so many people here tonight. We'll open up with the minutes, and I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the May 11th, 2026 school board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Dennis. No questions? I see. All those in favor? Thank you. And I would also entertain a motion to approve the work session from June 1st of 2026.
So moved.
Thank you, Adam.
Second.
Thank you, Phil. All those in favor? Thank you. And we've got a couple different reports this evening.
Yeah, start off with we had a facility study done with Tecton and Moak Park and Primary. So we have representatives from each of those groups. So they talked and have a plan to attack this. So I'll just turn it over to you all. Thank you all for coming and appreciate the time and effort you put into this. We shared with the board last week. So hopefully gone through a little bit and they'll ask some questions too. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to present this information to you tonight. Part of our process, we were hired to evaluate existing conditions throughout Granville Wells and the junior senior high school. Part of that process is scouring all of the existing drawings, walking the facilities at length, climbing above ceilings with ladders, and just kind of pouring through all of the existing conditions. So what we'd like to do is just go through and highlight some of what we've found for Granville Wells and the junior senior high school. What I would like to say, just to preface this conversation, these two booklets, this approximates roughly 100 and some pages worth of information. Tonight, we're not going to go through all of that information, and we're not going to share a lot of the photo imagery that we took. It's all included in here, but we want to give you some of the big highlights.
So I'm Mike Libby, who's in primary engineering. So what you've got on screen here is just a very small part of what we did, and it's kind of hard to see, but all the little red dots that you see are basically the locations of HVAC units that serve each of the classrooms above the ceilings, and that's one of the items that we've identified that from an age standpoint, we're looking to recommend that those get replaced over time, and we've talked about average life expectancy for those is about 30 years before you start having mechanical failures, and so that's essentially what you're seeing here. There's more detail in the report. I apologize for how small this is on screen. I think we could probably go forward. And then again here, this is essentially your mezzanine layouts of your equipment rooms above on upper floor. And so you've got 3 mezzanines with air handlers that serve all of those VAV boxes. And the age of those units, again, is reaching their expected life. And so you've got the red boxes indicating where those units are. So those are also part of the recommendation for replacement in time. with essentially new equipment to mitigate that age-related life expectancy. And then as we roll to the next one, I think it's a little bit easier to see because it's an enlargement of your boiler room. And we've spent a lot of time talking with your facilities team and Dennis in particular about the systems that you have there. And so we've talked about the boilers and the life expectancy of those boilers. You've pretty much hit the life expectancy. So we're recommending a new boiler plant. And this is a perfect opportunity to improve on some efficiencies and use some newer technology that's more efficient. Similarly, the blue box is your cooling tower and your chiller plant. You're hitting the life there, and so we're also looking at a chiller plant replacement on that time frame as well.
So this slide, floor plan for Granville Wells, area is shown in red. Pardon me. Are areas that we discussed with the administrative team that could be available for potential reprogramming as a part of a project. So you'll see the office area, area just outside of the gymnasium, and a smaller stage area just across from the office. So as we start to think about a larger HVAC type project, that's the perfect time to come in and start to address certain areas. At this point, we've not completed any design on those areas. It's just we've identified those on a plan as an area to potentially reprogram or repurpose those spaces. You'll see highlighted in kind of the green color are the two interior courtyards. Those represent some challenges from a maintenance standpoint. So as a part of a project, we could then start to explore ideas like turf or some type of synthetic material so that we're not trying to drag equipment in there for maintaining those spaces. The restrooms are highlighted in kind of that tan color. So those represent areas of ADA, I'm going to say non-compliance. So as a part of a larger project, that would be the time to go in and consider bringing those facilities up to current ADA codes. This is a roof plan for the facility. So part of, again, the analysis that we go through is we'll work again with facilities and with Dennis. So we'll try and outline and highlight all of the different roof replacements that occurred over the years. I believe most of these date to 2009, and the warranty period for those existing roofs is about 15 years. So now would be the time to start taking a look at those areas of roof replacement. Jumping over to the high school.
So on the high school, it's a much larger impact here. I think as many of you know, the building's currently heated with electric resistance heat, and we've talked in detail with the facilities team and trying to find approaches to improve on your efficiencies. And so we've had some conversations about the concept of adding a hot water heating plant with a boiler system. And so down in the lower left-hand corner, see a small green box on that far right where the cursor is. And that's an area that we've worked with Jeremy to talk about a concept for reprogramming that space to make it a new mechanical room that could house a boiler plant, start to provide a pathway through the purple corridor shaded regions to run some piping to start to feed equipment. And then as we talk about the shaded regions in the building, the classroom and academic areas that are fairly standard classrooms, those would be candidates to start to think about putting an individual vertical unit ventilator in the corner of the classroom rather than feeding them off a large air handler. It's a little more efficient to move energy through a pipe than it is through a duct. So if we can move water to those locations rather than blowing air, it just saves on transport energy. So as many of those locations as we could hit is really where we try to strategically hit those with classroom units rather than using an air handler. Your large spaces like your auditoriums, your gyms, your cafeterias, your fitness areas, those still would remain essentially a large central air handler. And so that's what the blue regions are. So in this concept, we're looking at essentially providing a new hot water heating plant and then replacing the chiller plant in time and essentially starting to centralize that equipment a little bit because your current room that the chiller plant's in is just too small to put boilers in. There's just not enough wiggle room. So that's where we need some additional space for that. And then this is just a second floor. And the solid color boxes are representations of where those air handlers would be sitting. A lot of them are in current air handler rooms. Most of them are. The gymnasium is the one outlier that I would say where the current equipment is in a very awkward bulkhead space on the south end of the gym that's above the floor. And really not ideal to put equipment back in there. So we'd be looking at putting some equipment on the roof would be a recommendation. We'd have to do some structural review to validate that concept, but I think there's opportunities there to do that.
So and then the next slide that you see is a site plan for the junior senior high school. We've highlighted areas for turf for both baseball and softball. We've discussed some of the current issues with bus parking and the current transportation facility, and then have explored a space just south of the admin building itself to potentially relocate a new transportation facility. Next slide. So again, similar to the floor plans that we showed for Granville Wells, the areas in red are shown as potential areas for reprogramming or repurposing, dependent upon those future conversations to be had. But we've highlighted areas for the CTE area. Again, Mike mentioned the boiler plant. We've highlighted areas for band, choir. The area in blue would be an area that's the existing cafeteria. And seeing an active lunch period, we understand some of the acoustic issues that occur, potential finish upgrades. So we understand that, and that would be something that we would explore as part of the project. And then second floor, again, the area in red, that area immediately surrounds the two-story space that is the media center. There are some exiting issues within those spaces. So we would want to look at, again, proper exiting as we would consider reprogramming some of those spaces. And again, similar to Granville Wells, the restrooms have all been highlighted just to represent areas of ADA non-compliance. Similar again to Granville Wells, and the junior senior high school is much larger. So there are a bunch of different roof sections. We've highlighted some of the areas that have just been completed as a part of a very recent project, and then listed the age of installation and not shown on this just due to the size of text. Again, similar, we've listed roof warranties, what's remaining, and what's set to expire soon. So very, very high level, I guess, series of plans indicating some of the bigger items that we've talked about as a part of a potential project. Again, we're just highlighting areas that could be addressed as part of future work. And we've started to put together with Tecton potential costs for those projects. So I'll let Stacy explain a little bit about how that tool can be better utilized.
Yeah, I'm just going to explain a little bit about how to use these cost estimates. So these are, the order of these correspond to the recommendations in the facility study. So you ought to be able to match them up in order. These are not prioritized in this list in regard to the importance of each one. But you would say, for instance, needs to be in a project as soon as possible. Some of them you say, hey, we could put these off for a number of years. Others are items in here that maybe would improve programming but aren't essential to keep things running. So these are different different levels of priority in the way these things will need to happen. So when a project happens, and the nearest project, the board should go through and say, here are our 5 things that are highest priority, and create a project out of those things. Others will remain to a later date. The way these numbers are in here, a low range to a high range. And for instance, just a way to think about that, if you have floor covering in a classroom, that can be $6 or that could be $13 a square foot. So there are a lot of decisions and items that will come to fruition during a design process as those things are guided through. The numbers here are set for a 2027 cost. So as this budget is utilized in years coming, you'll have to inflate the numbers from this baseline starting point. And also each one of these numbers is burdened with soft costs. So as you decide which one of those will be a project, those numbers should include in it design, cost of issuance, and all those things parts as well. So just know how to use these numbers as the years ensue here. You tackle these items. Any questions? Okay.
The only question I'll just start out. Was there anything that as you went through and did this, just as a really high level, that was a surprise or anything? I mean, doing this is what you do. But was there anything that stood out? Like, oh, we're actually doing better in certain areas, or certain ones that seem to be more immediate? You're like, when you got in, you looked at it, you're like, this one definitely is moving up faster on the priority list than you might have thought.
I will say, in generally speaking, the facilities are very, very well maintained. So kudos to your staff for that. A lot of the things that we saw are pretty typical for buildings of this type of era. Again, I've not shown you pictures of lintels that are starting to rust, or areas of masonry that need tuck pointing. Those we often see quite often. The other thing that I guess Mike and I haven't really talked about, but at the time that we're chasing down a mechanical, electrical project, those are the time to start upgrading interior finishes. Ceilings seem to be, fairly typical. Some lighting upgrades that would also be expected as part of a mechanical, electrical project like that. But no, I wouldn't say that there's anything that jumped out as a
There
major
was
surprise.
something that surprised me in the building is that it is electrical resistance. You just don't see that in a building of this size very often.
That's true.
So one thing to tackle there is to try and, everyone's already looking at, can gas be brought to the building? Would be a major improvement for you. So that was a surprise to me that this type of building is all electric.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate
And
it.
I think too, just from my standpoint, when you start going through, because I'm not over there every day now, and I think 2010, that was just the other day. That's 16, 17 years ago. And so even some of that area is starting to show age. And when you think about the number of kids and individuals going through those buildings on a daily basis, they're right. They hold up, but in the same way down at Granville Wells, mauve and pink and green on the bathroom walls, and just things that once you start to look at, that they are showing their age, and it's time to start looking at it and kind of start prioritizing a little bit with that. So we appreciate the work from all 3 groups, and I know it's a lot put into it, so appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And feel free to slip on out. Thank you.
Yep. We've also got athletic highlights tonight.
Mr. Dexter.
At your position, you have a updated highlight.
You too, Jerry. I think we wanted to hug when I
do
do.
want to do that later. Deal at home again. try to do this every year, put it all together. It's the first year, kind of neat that we're not done yet, when we do this in June. So, obviously, we have softball, I won the state finals at Purdue on, Saturday. We had, Jay Latham finished 5th in the 110 meter hurdles in the state. It's the 102nd best time in the country. And he was right there, honestly, to be even a little closer. I mean, it's such a tight race. I mean, he's right there with the best in the state in the 110. So, that was the same night. He dealt with a lot of weather delays and things, and also ran at state in the 300 meter hurdles and ran well in it. But first year full of the MAC, and the girls. Only thing I don't have on here, and I need to add Jaden, and then the girls won the inaugural all-sport trophy for the MAC. So pretty much every sport on the girls' side finished in the top half of the conference, and then so we ran away with that by 3 points, and then the boys finished 4th overall in the conference. Was right there. Within 3 or 4 points of first, with Cascade, Greencastle, and Crawfordsville. So, good inaugural season there. And as you go through here, I mean, it just lists out all the different, we had 35 all-conference athletes. This conference has gone away with second team. So these are all first team all-conference athletes for every sport. We set, on the backside, we set 13 school records. The kind of neat thing about those records is those are all different individual sports. So all 4 sports between girls golf, wrestling, boys and girls wrestling, and track. We set 13. We have 58 3-sport athletes, which again, along with our strength and conditioning program, is a real foundation for what we do. So. 2 conference champions, and again, the girls winning the overall championship. We had Emerson got recognized as a volleyball senior all-star, following up with junior all-star, multiple academic all-state. So, good year. It's amazing to put it all on one paper, and it's kind of neat, like I said, to still be playing. And the girls are going to play Tecumseh, who has been to the state championship game for the past 5 years. They are a 1A school that's won the 2A title, or they've won the 1A title twice, bumped up to 2A, won the 2A title last year by advancing. They will move to 3A. But this group's shown that who knows, with how they played. So it's been pretty neat to watch a group that's dealt with a lot of injuries and really not a lot of extra numbers to be able to push forward and do this. So a lot of them return again next year with that path kind of clearing the way. Who knows what next year brings too. But Saturday should be neat. But that's want to present that in a nutshell for everybody for the year.
Thank you.
Appreciate your effort with all that and leading the department, Jeremy.
And then next we've got transportation.
Transportation, Lisa and Kyle. I don't know if the board's ever officially met Kyle, but he's back there. Kyle's the mechanic. Fleet director, I guess, would probably be the appropriate title, right? So I give Kyle a hard time, but he does a great job and appreciate him and what he does. So Lisa, we'll give the floor to you.
Thank you. Every year we kind of go through KPIs, which are key performance indicators, that kind of goes through our year and sees where we have some weaknesses and where we maybe are spending too much money and kind of going back on different things. So, how would it?
Oh, you want to see it?
There we go.
Go to the first one. Okay, so these are the things that we're going to talk about: ride times, ridership, percentages of our students, the miles traveled, maintenance costs, transportation costs, and the fuel breakdown. So those are our areas. First, we'll start off with our fleet. These are all the vehicles that we have in our fleet and what we maintain, that Kyle, as a one-man show, maintains and does very well. We run 17 route buses, 4 special need routes, 4 CTE, which is our vocational program, 4 times a day. We go over there and back, and then we've got our band and choir runs for our 6th graders. And we keep our buses on route for about 10 years, and they go 2 years in our spare fleet, and then we rotate them out for new buses. Our SP buses, usually we get about 12 years out of them, and we run them pretty hard. So, following last year's increase this past year's increase in enrollment just a little bit, and the development of 2 new community housing areas, we're gonna be tracking that ridership very closely, anticipating probably being able to add some routes back that we have taken out the last couple of years. So, kind of watching that. And then student ride times. Total student ride time refers to when the first student gets on the bus and then when the last one gets dropped off.
Sorry, it jumped on me. There you go.
There we go. And because of the way we drop off our elementary students in the morning and come to the high school and then vice versa, we do that also in the afternoon. The ride times are a little bit longer because we have to get all the way up here and then take off. And we're a pretty big district. I mean, we also do like a C, so it's kind of hard to get from, you got Thorntown, we're coming up here, and then going all the way back up to Elizaville or Mechanicsburg, so that takes some time. And then also because state law that says that we have to drop off door side and pick up door side on state roads outside of town limits, and we have 6 of them in our district, so that takes some challenges as far as which direction we have to go for those routes. And then we do a ridership percentage of the students. So you can see the enrollments for the past two school years. I kind of did it different this year because instead of doing by calendar year, I did it by school calendar year. So it makes it a little bit more with all the students in the same school year. So it shows the percentages and how many students, like in the morning, we have a total of 737 students that we bus, and that's broken down from our elementary and our high school riders for the 2 school years. And then again in the afternoon, we have more in the afternoon, it seems like, even though we have sports and everything, but a lot of parents will drop off their students on the way to work. So in the afternoon, we bus more in the afternoon. Over the last couple of years, the percentages have stayed pretty close together. There's not been too much of a jump. Our out of district, that stands for, we have 271 out of district, kind of weird that it was the same for both years. And then 88 actually ride. We don't bus out of district, but they go to like a grandparent's house or a daycare or a friend's house. And that has jumped up a little bit this year to 90, or this past year. Which is nice that we're able to do that for our enrollees, and they understand when they enroll that we can't go pick them up out of district, but we do whatever we can to help them out. Exceptions, I think you guys all know what those are, where they're going somewhere other than their home, whether it's grandparents' house, a daycare, or a lot of cases, mom's house this week, dad's house the other week, and that kind of thing. And it's jumped up to where we're able to do 244 exceptions this past school year. So.
And Lisa, your enrollment numbers include our preschool, correct?
Yes, it does, yes. And I got those numbers for whenever we get new students, and it ties in with our Harmony, so it links up that way. So yes, we do have our development, all of our kids in there, the ones there. So then the miles traveled, these are the total number of miles, and it kind of depends on where the houses are bused. Because of our district, I would love to have all my buses in one area to leave and come back here, but that's just not feasible as far as distance. So a lot of them stay at drivers' homes if they got the area to do that. And that helps us as far as deadhead and fuel. But then we do have some that we house here. So those are kind of the breakdown between our AM miles and our PM miles. And then I went ahead and broke it down between our SPED, which is our special needs, and our midday. We do one midday run with our special needs, and then the afternoon. So you see this year, this past school year, we did drive more miles. And a lot of that is due to, more students, and depending on where they live, sometimes we have to add a road on if someone moved in and it's a road we didn't have to go down in years past. So that just adds on more miles. So that's how many miles that we drove this year, is 323,280 miles. And more of what we travel on our miles is our CTE program. We average 144 miles per day. Like I said, we go over to the Ivy Tech campus over there in Crawfordsville 4 times a day. And so those equaled up to be 24,000 miles. And we do that in the morning. We take a big bus because we have a lot of our students. I think we had like 36 students in the morning. And then, so we do that our first 2 runs in a big bus. And then the second 2 in what we call like the afternoon session, we do our SP because there's not as many in the program going that way. And then we have our 6th grade band and choir, where each of the elementary schools, they come up here for the last hour of the day to participate up here, which it's growing every year, which is nice to see. So we did a total of 4,000 miles, a little over 4,000 miles on that. And that's worked out pretty good. And then our ECA, I kind of broke it down for the last couple of years. Big buses versus SP buses for sports, and then big versus SPs in our field trips. And that kind of, you can kind of see from year, because sometimes we have more home games than we do away games, so that fluctuates a little bit year to year. I did notice that our SP sports have gone up from 8,000 to a little over 35 or 9,500. And some of our coaches that have, their team is under 14 players, or at 14, they get taken the SP bus. So they drive those, which is a help to where I don't have to pay a driver to go. And 2, they can leave. They don't have to wait for a bus to come get them. They can leave as soon as they want to right after school. So some of our coaches really like that. I don't make any of our coaches do that. If they want to drive an SP, they can, but some people may not feel comfortable with that. So that's totally fine. I work with them on that. So those trips and miles were pretty consistent over the last couple of years. And then Kyle, this year, it's been nice having Kyle because he understands what we are trying to achieve and what I want. And we think a lot alike, which is a little scary. So he broke this down. We've always done maintenance with our buses, and I've always wanted it tracked. It never really got tracked the way I would like for it to, or it did for a while, and then it kind of fell off. And Kyle's done a whole little over a year, but he did this for a whole year, and you can see all the different buses we have. We have our IC buses and then our gas buses, and then our sped buses and our max forces, which we are phasing out. Those we just have kind of in our spare fleet. But he broke it down. We also have our maintenance vehicles, which we service the maintenance department, the 2 Fords, the corporation Fords, and his service truck. And then we have 3 gas Bluebirds. We have 2 IC gassers and 3 Bluebird gassers. And then the next gen are the new IC engines coming, or that are here. We've got 2 of them this year. And so he broke it down to PM services, and I took his information and made a little guide right there of what a PM service, what he does every time, every service, every other time, plus the basic, and then if he does a total PM service on all of that. And he's broke it down to how many miles and then how much the cost is. So that's been very helpful to know, like, you know, I can tell you how much we spend on filters, but I can't really tell you how much we spend per bus. And he's done a very nice job of breaking that down and looking at that. So that's very nice. And if you have any questions on this right now, you can ask. Next is our total corporation costs. We kind of broke it down to what our fuel and lube expense per mile is. And for the last couple of years, it's been, you know, it's pretty close. Total variable operating expenses are down just a little bit, and then our total expenses per mile. And then the variable expenses for total enrollment.
Sorry, jump on here.
And then it's got it per enrolled and the total expense per enrolled student. And then this is for just our daily riders. So you see back on that one page where we talked about how many AM and PM riders, that's how we got that bigger number. This is for total enrollment here. So that's how we kind of broke it down that way. And like I said, they're pretty much on target on that. And then we kind of broke it down a little bit further as far as all my categories of what I pay out. We did eliminate a route the prior year, so we're down to 20 routes. And like I said, even though we gained a little bit of enrollment, it didn't really, we weren't overly loaded on our buses or anything, so it didn't really matter. We've got our total comforts that, you know, our ECA driving, what we pay for that, our routes. And you'll see that the route drivers, they're driver pay, is a lot more this past year than it was the year before. And that's because of the way we went to paying our drivers. We were paying them year round. And then now we've gone back to when I used to drive a long time ago, of just paying them for when the days that they drove. And until we cycle through this year, we've got last summer's pay on there, plus all of this year, and that's their total. So that'll even out next year. You'll see a difference when I do it again next year on that, but that's why the jump on that, or why it's so big. And then you'll see something on the timer.
Are you not done?
No, I wanted to show you on the total repairs and maintenance. We did go down, about $20,000, and I contribute a lot of that to Kyle. And he really did a real good job about utilizing the parts that we had on the shelf, instead of just seeing what he needs to do on the bus and going and ordering it. And so that's helped a lot. And he even went, as far as this, he's already cleaned out, went through inventory, and that's been very good. But I think that's why we were able to get that number down, is because he did a lot of that. And also, just keeping up on the maintenance, take care of the little things before they become big things, also is huge too. He doesn't put anything off. He takes care of them. And so I wanted to point that out to you guys too. So. And of course, bus purchases are going up a little bit too, but that's 2 big buses versus 1 big bus and a small lift bus that we did the prior year, so. Okay. Okay, diesel and gas buses. These are kind of a breakdown on what it costs us per mile per diesel or gas, and our MPGs per diesel and gas. And then what we spent as far as the cost of gas and diesel. You'll see that the diesel price down here went down, and a lot of that is contributing to the EVs that we're running because they were diesel routes. So that has saved us right there a little bit. Quite a bit there, so. There's And then EVs, I was kind of excited to do this. I don't get excited about numbers as much as Kyle does, but this did excite me a little bit, that we were able to actually have enough data on my EVs to actually do some kind of report on it. So with that, the prior year of 24 and 25, we ran 31,500 miles. And the 957 is how many routes we drove. And a max for a year for 180 days in a school year would be 1,440 routes. So you can see that, we didn't drive it the full entire time. But look at this past year, we're up there pretty dang close on that. So we were able to run the buses longer, more days this past year, especially throughout the winter, because that's where it really kind of got us in the couple years past that we've had these things, 3 years now. And for the 4 EV routes that we have, last year we drove 300 miles a day. So look at the cost that we spent on the 4 EVs for the whole entire school year was $5,179. So that is about 14 cents a mile when you break it down for the EV. And then if we would have, this is kind of like the what if, the EV versus the diesels, the total electrical cost for the 4 EV for the 4 routes per day would be $42. And then if we drove those same routes using a diesel bus, it'd be $90. So we do save some money that way. And this was kind of interesting, the fuel displacement for the school year. In charge, our chargers out there, they put this up here that we saved 11,200 gallons of diesel by running the EVs for this past school year, which if you do it by the cost, it's about $45,000 that we would have spent in diesel. So I thought all that was pretty interesting. And Matt from Boone Power, is that what it's called now? Boone Power helped me out with all the breakdown of the EV cost and that. I didn't put this up here, but he wanted to point out this past school year that we only went one day in where we were in peak, because I work with Dennis and try to figure out when I can charge to where it doesn't throw us as a corporation into peak time. And we only did one day where we were into peak just a little bit. So he was pretty impressed and wanted to show us that. So there's that. And this is our staff. As far as our drivers, I'm pretty proud that since I've taken over and we've gone through COVID and everything, we've gotten close. We've never had to call off and cancel a route because we didn't have a driver. There was a few close days that I told Rob, I'm in a bus, Kyle's in the bus, everybody's in the bus. I hope no one else goes down because, but anyway, this is our staff and they do a great job. They've done really good this past year. I'm fully staffed, but always could use some extra people. So they do a great job. And then our challenges, they still continue to be recruitment and retention of drivers, even though all my drivers say they're coming back, which I got one that retired, but we've already got her replaced. So that's a change from a couple of past few years, which I'm really, really happy about. Our small bus facility, which you all know, and just improving and being able to work in our infrastructure. So, you guys have any questions?
Very nice job. Appreciate it, Kyle. Thank you very much for all your efforts.
Kyle, does anybody making a hybrid bus?
No, they don't.
Like even like the small buses? Like
It'd
it's
be
big?
interesting. Like if you could have half electric, half gas, and like the vans that they have where they can run like 50 miles on electricity.
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting. I don't want to work on it.
Yeah, I'm surprised nobody does have one yet.
I was thinking of transportation in the financial terms and then also in the safety terms. And I'm trying to recall, maybe I've missed it, but I don't recall the last time, thankfully, that we've had any kind of significant accidents or, I mean, it's one thing if we bump into,
Mailbox.
A mail-
We've taken care of.
but no
picking up few
injuries or-
mailboxes, But other than that, that's not the only thing we've had. And even all the years I've driven, I think there was one driver skid off the road many years ago, but other than that, I don't think we've had anything. And
Yeah.
it's-
just another
say
area to
prayers that we
celebrate.
don't. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, very much.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate everything.
Moving into the action items, we've got personnel next.
Yes, we have a long list of personnel. So I recommend that you approve as presented.
We've got a recommendation. Is there a motion?
Moved.
Thank you, Adam. Is there a second? Any questions? No, we had a chance to look at that ahead of time. All those in favor? Thank you. I'm still scrolling down through all the names. Okay, next in the business section is the child find and evaluation of students with disabilities.
Yes, board policy 5040, and Madeline had an audit, right? A review. Monitoring, yeah, not technically an audit, but they review and kind of make some recommendations. So there were 6 policies here that Madeline went through and kind of updated. And the first one's child find. Is there anything you want to add about that?
No, this one's just a new addition to all the board policies. It just wasn't already included, but just a couple of the, kind of the main concepts of special education regulations. So we just want to be sure that was in the board policy.
Thank you. So we have a recommendation for the board policy 5040. Do we have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Brian.
Second.
Thank you, Dennis. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. And next is the free appropriate public education least restrictive environment continuum of services.
Correct. So this was a revision. There was already a policy for the least restrictive environment, but just adding those other kind of 2 core concepts of special education regulation where all students are entitled to a free appropriate public education kind of based on their needs and their eligibility and that impact of a disability in that least restrictive environment. So they're with gen ed students as much as possible, providing supports there. And then if the need presents itself, then, we look at more service. And then a continuum of services is a requirement that we have options for kids. So they can be in general education with services and supports, or if they need more, then maybe we look at like resource pullout, or in some cases, kids with more significant needs, we have what we call self-contained classrooms, just because the impact of the disabilities is significant. So those are all just legal requirements that we have to kind of have in place, and they're already in place. So all these policies, it's already happening. It's just a matter of like getting into the board policy.
Formalizing it with
Yep.
the board policy.
So that was just updated, and then just making sure all those legal references were current, because you can see this one was first adopted in '94. So over time, there's just things are repealed or new things, they shift the codes. So just making sure those were all correct as well.
Excellent. Thank you for the feedback and the background on that. So we have a recommendation for the approval of board policy 5050, board policy 5050 being revised. Is there a motion? Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Adam. Any questions? All those in favor? Okay. And next is the general administration of special ed programs, board policy 5060.
So this one's kind of like the catch-all, right? It's all the other kind of key concepts that we have to have and requirements like the personnel have to be properly licensed. And about cases and instructional days, the same as every other student. That they have comparable instructional materials, equipment, space, all the stuff, right? They're STARS first. and then they just need some support. So this one just kind of includes all those kind of key components as well. So this was a proposed one from the board.
Thank you for the background. So we have the recommendation that the board approve board policy 5060. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Dennis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Greg. Any questions? All those in favor? Moving on to board policy 6025.
This one's the educational surrogate parent policy. So in situations where students don't have a parent or a parent that can be found or appointed by the court, the corporation would find someone who can represent the student. So you already have this policy from 1994, so just making sure that it was current, and then with those legal citations updated. So that's all I have on this. Yeah.
Thank you. And so we have a recommendation for the approval of that board policy. Is it actually 6025? Yep, 6025. Is there a motion? So moved. Thank you, Phil. Second. Thank you, Adam. Not seeing any questions. All those in favor? Okay. And then the next would be the educational records.
So there was already a policy just on education records in general. So just making sure it aligned with the special education regulations and adding the citations that were appropriated from Article 7 and IDEA. Just a revision.
Thank you. So we've got a recommendation for the approval of board policy 6300 with the education records. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Melissa. Do we have a second? Second. Thank you, Brian. All those in favor? And moving on to board policy 6320.
So administration of medication at school, already a board policy, just making sure that there was reference to the special education requirements for students with disabilities as well, but it aligns with what we typically do for all kids. So just updating, making sure the legal references were current and citations.
Thank you. So we've got a recommendation for the approval of the administration of medication at school, board policy 6320. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Dennis. All those in favor? Okay. Next is the science curriculum. Thank you again, Matt.
Yes, ma'am, thank
Yes.
you. As you can tell, this is a lot to kind of like.
I could talk about special ed as much as Mr. Dexter could talk about.
But it was a lot of work just because it's just reading through and figuring out what needed to be added, what needed to be removed. So I appreciate the time and effort.
Definitely. So next we have the science curriculum adoption.
So I have two actually this evening. The first is science. This is for the reinstatement of AP chemistry. College Board does require that we use specific texts. They have a list of approved and recommended, and it has to be current. So current, I believe, is within the last 6 years. So the curriculum that we had when the last time that we had AP chemistry just missed the mark. So we are bringing a recommendation for chemistry, a molecular approach AP edition for your approval this evening, please.
Thank you for your work. We have a recommendation for the science curriculum. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor?
Thank you. And the next one is a business curriculum. This is actually a new course. So this is to continue to build a vocational pathway. So this would be for a business management text. And like I said, that is for a new course, Principles of Business Management.
Thank you. So we've got a recommendation that the board approve the business vocational pathway. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Adam. Any questions? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks for your work with that, Tricia.
And Lauren, very much Lauren.
Yes. Next are the professional services and consulting agreement.
I'll jump in just so Tricia and Madeline and Kent all worked on this with a contract for OT School Connect LLC for occupational therapy for the 26-27 school year. So I would recommend that you all approve that.
Thank you. We've got that recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Phil.
Second.
Thank you, Adam. Any questions? All those in favor? Thank you. Next are the handbook revisions and changes.
Tricia Stanley, anything you want to say specifically about the handbook?
I don't think so. There wasn't any big changes. We updated the match of the new bus policies that Lisa sent, so that was we're aligned in that, and just really just areas of clarity throughout.
Okay.
Nothing major.
All right. Brent?
Yeah, there's one item that probably, you have my copy of that, I'm gonna try to copy it in another file. If not, they should have it in front of them.
The handbook?
Yeah, that handbook.
I don't have it
It's-
filled up, but I can get it.
So you should have the electronic copy, members of the board. If you go to page 19, I'm gonna read it to you. But, we made some cosmetic changes. Most of it is because midsummer last year, the attendance policy changed on us a little bit. We had some things in there twice. So highlighting in gray is what we're cutting out. We had one item with the dress code we had to clean up because shirts with no backs are popular, and we had an argument about whether the back is really the torso. So we cleaned that up too. The main thing.
I feel like we're at trivia night.
What was the determination there?
We just looked it
That's
up.
the back.
So we made it crystal clear the back is part of the torso. So tomorrow I'm gonna send an email to parents with the phone policy. So the phone policy we have written in our handbook mirrors the board policy. But I do want to read it to you just on the outside chance you get asked about it. I think most of the questions will come to me, but you could get asked. So basically on page 19, if you're looking at it, I've got the board policy listed. Kind of highlighted there first, and I've got the Western wireless device procedure. Students using a wireless communication device, including wireless headphones, earbuds, during the school day will be asked by a staff member to take the device to the office, the main office. The device will be stored in the office for the remainder of the school day. Administration will document the violation and assign the appropriate discipline outlined in the handbook. So that's how it reads. The one thing that we added was, and this was from teacher input, because to be honest, I had no thought of these terms, but we added the wireless headphones and earbuds. Technically, that's not in your board policy, but we added that to our handbook. Teachers felt like it was going to be impossible to guess if they had wireless headphones in, whether they were listening to something on their computer or whether they had their phone hidden in their bag, listening, doing whatever on the phone. So we did add that one piece that's not in your policy, but I think we've got grounds to do it, given that we're adding it to our handbook. So just wanted you to be aware of that. As far as the consequences go, first and second offense is a Friday school. Third offense, 2 Friday schools. And then we put TBA after that. It'll be a case-by-case basis. If we got a kid just doing it day after day, they'll work themselves up to more than Friday school. So that, I just want you to be aware of that before you approve it. And, it'll go out tomorrow, and we'll see what everybody thinks. Any questions on that?
Is this how, again, we run things according to common sense and what makes sense for the education of our students and makes sense for our administrators to be able to and the teachers to educate the students. How does this, do we have any sense of what other area schools do with, is this will we be an outlier? Will we be mainstream with this, or do you have any
No,
idea?
I think we'll be in the mainstream. I mean, the way the law is written. You know, we don't currently, we pretty much follow this now with the exception of the wireless headphones.
Mhm.
But we don't send the phone down to the office. That's gonna add some teeth to it. There are other schools already doing that. If you're calling the phone, it goes to the office. But for us, it's been, if we see a phone, it's an automatic write-up. We call the kid down later and tell them there's a Friday school. So the consequences haven't changed. The location where the phone can be has changed. It can only be in the locker now.
How does it play out with like the watch or the glasses and
Same.
those? Yeah.
Same.
Those are included
In the board policy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, there'll be some pushback on this probably. I mean, I know other schools have experienced that a little bit, so.
But state law, I mean, it's,
Yeah, it's the same all over the state.
yeah, there's,
They're following the law. It's the
Yeah.
same.
so it's,
Are you're pushed back from parents?
I'm hearing rumblings. You know, you go around, I kind of prepared the kids a little bit at lunchtime. As you go around to lunch, honestly, I might miss phones at junior high lunch. But you go around to lunch, especially some of the high school kids I talk to, I say, what are you guys gonna do next year? Can't have your phones, what are you gonna do? And they're like, oh, we're moving to Illinois. Or they'd say, my parents will fight this. Oh, okay, you know, so I don't know, maybe we won't experience it. Hopefully, if we let them know in June, they got time to process it before August.
and and the board adopted this policy, 2 months ago?
Yeah, and it's,
So, I mean,
it mirrors state law, so. And we've had it in our newsletters, but it'll become real as we get closer.
can you wait till the 19th?
Transfer it. Well, thank you for the feedback on those. So we have a recommendation that the board approve the revisions to the Granville Wells and the Western Boone Junior Senior High School handbooks as submitted. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Phil. Any other questions? All those in favor? Next is our Pepsi contract.
Yeah, I would recommend that you approve the 5-year contract between Pepsi and Western Boone Junior Senior High School. Money that goes to help programs and activities directly for our students and nobody else. So student activities account there. So pretty much about the same amount as it has been for the last 10 or 15 years. So I'd recommend you approve that.
Is this the first year that they've actually like broken down by drink on how it is, or is that?
No, that's pretty typical. When I read through it, it looked like one from back in the day.
Okay, I was gonna say, I thought it looked like the one from a few years ago.
We did compare with Coca-Cola, and this is a better deal for us financially.
And again, you get into then if you don't go in a contract with either one, then you have to do it in-house and you open yourself up to a lot more issues if you're doing it in-house. And so it's just easier for them to stock and take the money out of them and do all that. And
Yeah, expirations and all the other.
yeah.
All right. Well, we have a recommendation that we approve the 5-year contract between Pepsi and Western Boone. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Adam. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Thanks. Next, we've got the salvage list.
Yes, this is technology salvage. Happens every June after we get through the school year. The technology team put together a list of items that are well dated and need to be recycled, data being destroyed. So I'm requesting the board declare this list as salvage.
We've got a recommendation to approve those items on the salvage list. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Dennis.
Second.
Thank you, Greg. All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks. Next are the non-resident students.
Yeah, we have one here, Cameron Perrin, Western Boone, 7th grade, 26-27 school year. I'd recommend you approve that.
Excellent. We've got a recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Adam. All those in favor? Next are the intra-district transfers.
Yeah, one again here, Ezekiel Smith, Granville Wells, DPK, that's developmental kindergarten from Thorntown for the 26-27 school year. I recommend you approve that.
Thank you. We have that recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Melissa.
Second.
Thank you, Phil. All those in favor? And we have a list of donations.
Yeah, long list here. Western Boone High School Athletics, following Jim Wall sponsorships, Eli Lilly, 5,000, Reiner Enterprises, 800, Power Ridge, Chief Franson, Patterson, and Cruz, 750, Boone Power, 750, Boone County Sheriff, 1,000, Culligan Water Conditioning of Boone County, 1,000, Western Boone Global Travelers, Anonymous of 125, Western Boone Student Activities, $4,000 donation from Interstate Studios. Western Boone Agriculture received the following: Trent Mechanical, 500, McKinnon Farms LLC, 500, Freshly Dairy LLC, 500, Michael and Susan Neese, 1,000, Jonathan Courtney Wilt, 2,000, Plunkett Ag LLC, 2,000, and Moeller Family Farms, 1,000. We appreciate all individuals and businesses that help out and contributed to each of those causes. Very much appreciated.
Yeah, definitely makes a difference. We have a recommendation to accept those donations. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Dennis.
Second.
Thank you, Adam. All those in favor? Thank you. Claims are next.
Few claims to mention tonight. The first was an ACH payment, so there is no check number for those anymore, but that was May 13th, McGuire Scenic, and that was for the stage rental for graduation, the amount $3,887. We did have a check 096239 to Time Management System in the amount of $8,359.59, and that was for 4 terminals for our new timekeeping system, where our employees will clock in and clock out from these digital terminals. That was what that was for. We had an ACH payment on May 27th to Midwest Transit for our 2 school buses this year. Lisa had already mentioned it, but that was $333,832. And then the last one I was going to mention was check number 098022 to the United States Treasury in the amount of $120,442.77. That was arbitrage rebate owed on the 2022 bonds. And just a brief explanation, because I think it's kind of interesting. When we get the bond proceeds for a construction project, they go into an account. We can invest that money. But the federal government subsidizes these bonds for schools because they're tax exempted bonds. So they don't want you taking that money and putting it in an account and accruing a bunch of interest beyond the spirit of what the bonds were for. So if you earn more than what the bond yield is, they set a limit. And so like our rate was, if you'll recall, 2.25% on those bonds in 22, which is we had a great rate. Well, we actually, just because the market shifted, we earned 2.81% in earnings on those bonds. So it totaled, we earned $623,000 in interest on the 2022 bonds. With that money, we got 2 new playgrounds at each elementary, new gym floors at each elementary. But we had to pay a portion of it back just because. So it's not a penalty. It's just they say, hey, if you earn more than this, you need to hold it back because we're going to ask for it back. So that's what the arbitrage rebate was. And it's something that has never happened here before, but it did happen this time, and that's a good thing. It just meant we got the most out of that money we could have gotten.
and the overage, we just had to pay it back, so. That's it for claims.
Hey, did you know that was gonna happen?
We had a pretty good idea. We were tracking it early on, and as the rates started to go back up, we started to keep an eye on it. Yeah, probably a year out, so probably in 2023, we started keeping an eye on it.
So we didn't spend those monies?
No, we kept it back, yep. When I cut them the check, we had $16,000 left out of that 17.1 million, so we were real close.
That's good. Thank you for the feedback on that and for the detail on the claims. I would entertain a motion to approve the claims for May 11th through June 8th of 2026, then as submitted. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Adam.
Second.
Thank you, Brian. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? And next are the monthly financial reports.
At the end of May, education fund cash balance was $5,515,188. Expenditures for May were $1,087,607. And at the end of May, a total of 37% of the 2026 appropriation was expended. For the operations fund at the end of May, cash balance was $2,165,300. Operation fund expenditures for May were $810,180. And so that resulted in a total of 39% of the 2026 appropriation being expended. That's a little bit higher, but you've got to remember out of that 810,000 was 2 school buses, which was 333,000. So that's why that'll be a one-time, 1 month expense in the year, but that's ticked up more than normal. Western Boone has investments in various interest-bearing accounts with financial institutions, has earned year-to-date interest as follows: Home National Bank, $69,098.61. North Salem State Bank, $18,031.79. Trust Indiana, $117,504.13. And Key Bank, $4,823.03. And that is all.
Thank you. Category of other.
Yeah, I apologize. I realized that I did notify you. Dennis had some salvage items, miscellaneous chairs, tables, and furniture that are no longer suitable for use that he's asking that you approve, so that he follow the appropriate procedures to dispose of. So
we've got a recommendation for additional salvage items. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Rick.
Second.
Thank you, Melissa. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. And do you have any announcements?
outside of Jeremy kind of stole my thunder on that, and rightfully so. The girls softball team and Jaden and their performance, and then obviously it's my last meeting, so appreciate everybody here. When I took the job, it was 10 years ago. It seems like just yesterday. And I said, I'll give you 10 and then you'll have to find somebody else, because the goal was to retire at the time that I'm doing. So I'm lucky to be leaving a job I love in the community and school, all, coworkers. Rick and Mike are here, and Mike Biestucker was on the board at that time. I appreciate the trust. Hopefully I've done a good job and made you proud as a board, and you two included. Got a great team. Look around here. Poor Tammy's dealt with me for 18 years. I couldn't ask for better people to work with. It's kind of weird sitting here at this age thinking, I'm retiring, but it's been intentional. And for those that do the job on a day-to-day basis, it's a grind. There is no day off, and so Rachel and Kendall have had to deal with a lot. And so looking forward to, hopefully give them some time back. Mm-hmm. And, so this is a great group. Western Boone's in great hands. Kyle's going to do a great job. My thing is that continue to expect the most out of everybody. I have a chip on my shoulder about who we are and what we stand for. And we're not the third wheel in this county, regardless of what anybody thinks. And, I think that report that went out from Ball State a couple months ago, I've always said our teachers work hard and truly teach. And, I think that shows the job they do. So, I'm here for anything that anybody needs moving forward, if you need it. Again, appreciate everything. Got about a week and a few days left, and then it's been a weird transition because still Kyle and I get things at the same time, and one of us might answer and the other one, and it's been good. I've tried to start letting Jeremy might disagree with me back, but tried to start letting Kyle kind of take the reins. I told him he's got the Friday update this week. So anyway, I appreciate it. And, Western Boone is a great spot and always will be. And it's due to the people in this community. They let us do our jobs for the most part. And that says a lot this day and age. So thank you all.
I jotted down a few notes. Yeah. I'll give it to you in a second. But I jotted down a few notes, and we think about serving as a teacher, then going through the ranks as a principal, going into a superintendent. Most people outside of this room don't truly appreciate the boards you serve on in relationship and in addition to being the superintendent, whether it's the Education Foundation, whether it's jumping over at something at Thorntown or at Wells. They don't necessarily see how well you interact with the special ed kids or the kids in the academic excellence taking AD classes. They don't see that variety of your personality. What they know, a lot of them, is your expectation for accountability. And sometimes that can rub people wrong because everybody likes to think they do things well. You hold them accountable. That's been your consistent personality for years. And I think that doesn't make it easy for people, but that makes you respected. And the job that you've done and the job of all of the leadership and the reputation of Western Boone, when you guys don't see this either, but when we get in these finance meetings and Kristen's on there, you'll see it, and Jared and Kyle will see it. How they talk about our finances and what we choose, and it's great that they talk about. We see how nice our facilities are. We are very critical of knowing we want them to continue to be that way, but we're so far being proactive in things for the next, leaving it better than you found it, and being ahead of the game with it, and trying to figure out what can we do better with this program, what can we do better with that facility, and not accepting when things were done less than the standard that should have been done in our construction projects for what our teachers deliver. And again, it's not one individual, it's everybody, but it starts at the top. And if you hadn't held people to that level of accountability, we wouldn't be in the financial positions, we wouldn't have the board policies. So it's a collective effort, but that doesn't randomly happen. And so again, I think I heard the thing about Popovich the other day. He was a horse's rear end. He's from Indiana, by the way, but he could be a horse's rear end. But they had success. They had culture. They talked about how many other coaches had circled through the league and the NBA during the time he was there. Think about how many other superintendents have circled through and administrators at different places through the years. And you've been consistent. You've been a consistent supporter of Western Boone culture and a driver of that. And I think that leaves big shoes for Kyle to jump in, but he's also equipped because he's seen what it is. He knows that he's got the confidence that he can take his personality and do it, just like you took your personality and made that happen. And your family should be proud of you, and we're really proud of you.
Well, and it's cliche, but there's not one person in here that doesn't believe that's here for our kids. And honestly, that's my favorite part.
Mhm.
When they go out there last week and do what they did against Andrean, it's no, I mean, we'd gotten beat by Andrean in the state volleyball tournament in 5 sets, and that burns. Because you'd hate to see it for our kids that were part of that team. It's personal on that, from that standpoint too, but nonetheless, and then they walk in thinking they're gonna beat Western Boone. And our girls did not give up and but I can go through time after time after time that it might be a sporting event, it might be, I think of 3 or 4 in Abby's ED classroom that now are out and don't even go in to see the teacher. They're in their general ed classroom all day. If it meant buying the McDonald's lunch to help that student get to where they need to be and be successful, then I'm going to do that. And there's a whole room of people with that same, and that's why we're here. And we're lucky. We have great kids. People kids are not the problem. I tell people that all the time. And we are in good hands with the kids that are being raised and the households in this community. So, sometimes we lose sight of that, and you also have to laugh. You have to laugh at yourself, and you have to laugh at others, and you have to have a good time. Some of the things I say and do around this office, we won't ever repeat, but we have a good time, and that's part of it. You have to enjoy what you do. And there's days that it's not fun at all, but in the end, it's been enjoyable. It's been a good time. So, and there's not one person in here that I would trade for anybody else. And Brent has a great team. Kyle has a great team. But no, thank you all. And I think we have some Jane cake tea.
Yeah. All right. I would accept, is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Greg. All those in favor? Thank you all. Yeah.